Message for my people.
Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah. Now this the black sheep, sticking it to him. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it.
In hand, just understand
My pocket's that deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do. When they can't compete and I got nothing to lose.
Yes, back in the studio. It's the boys.
Yes.
At Nick Dais 10 you can find me. Mr. George Carmona to my left, shining bright like a diamond.
Yeah, bro.
We're fucking back, baby.
We are back, and you're wearing an Express shirt. I liked it. I like the logo on it. It's pretty dope. Yeah, I mean, it's just casual. It's simple. But Nick, you got a little. You're a little nicked up. No,
Yeah.
pun intended.
Yeah, I got a
You
nice
are.
little shiner over here.
Yeah. Tough weekend training.
Yeah, it happened this morning.
A
A lot of you know what happens, bro? A lot of times when you're training, you don't even realize it, like the adrenaline dump or as you're going. This one I knew immediately. I was like, yeah, I'm probably gonna have a mark there after. Just caught a fucking elbow. Someone was passing.
Yeah, dude.
I was like, oh. They didn't even say sorry because it happens like so fast.
Yeah.
But you know, shit happens out there.
Yeah.
Does it make me look tougher?
No, 100%. That's why I had to address it. And if you're listening to it on audio, go to YouTube and check it out.
Yeah, good plug.
Yes,
good
there you
plug.
go. You're welcome.
Hey man, how was your weekend?
Weekend was solid. I wish I would have been able to sweat out the Arkansas Razorbacks future that I had put in, but they had a historic collapse on Thursday night, and I was watching the game at Cameron's parents' house, and bro, they had no money invested, right? I'm sitting in silence as I watch 16 turn to 13, turn to 10, turn to 30 seconds left to go in the game. And I'm like, Nick, I say the worst thing you could possibly say. I'm like, hey, the worst thing that could happen right here is that they hit this three and we go to overtime. That's exactly what happened. And they were yelling at the TV and I'm just silent. So that led to a bad golf game on Saturday. I played like shit. But I finished the week strong. I cooked at home yesterday, cleaned up around the house, did some man shit, So I feel good.
Yeah.
Feel good.
Yeah, it brings up a fascinating conversation. I always like to ask people because Jory and I were watching the game over here in the studio last week. And I didn't tail it because I didn't want to fuck it up. I didn't want to be that guy. But both of us were rooting for your bet because I know you're a very class act, top tier gentleman. You would have took us all out to dinner.
Oh, 100%.
Throwing Isaiah in there too, that we would have went out to dinner if you would have hit that 300-1. But let me ask you this question. I'm someone that I rather my team from start to finish have no chance of hitting the bet. Like I want it to be over. Like if I have a -7, I want them to be down 30 at halftime so I can move on to something else. I don't want to have to sweat it.
I get you.
As opposed to heartbreak like that. Where like talk about getting edged.
Oof.
Talk about getting jerked. That is blue balls personified what happened.
Cameron's dad was like, how you feeling over there, George? And I said, Brian, this is why I do it. This is why I do it. It was a 6-point lead and about a minute and a half left. Great question. It was great timing. He's a gambling man himself. So, we can relate. He likes his video poker. But, it would be tough if they weren't gamblers.
Right. But what do you prefer if you have a bet on a side? I like to be put out my misery right away. I have no chance to hit this bet.
Nick,
don't have me lose at the buzzer.
No, I kind of fuck with it. I love the
sweat.
Yeah, I love the sweat.
Yeah.
Especially in a game that had next to no sweat, right? So I was like, in my head, I'm like, they're not getting battle tested. Like March Madness is about win a couple of close games and make me feel very confident in you. You know what I mean? When you blow a team out by 16, I'm like, do you really have it when it comes down the stretch against Duke? And so the comeback was happening, and I was like, all right, this is what I want. And then it was not what I wanted. But yeah, dude, I mean, enough with that. They 300-1. That's literally as soon as the game ended and everybody was like kind of quiet, I was like 300 to 1. It was like hitting the lottery if that would have hit.
Yeah.
And we keep it pushing.
For sure, man. For sure. But you said something about like the sweat and sports betting. Every sports bettor knows that's what you live for. You live for that 5-leg parlay that goes into the main card, into the main event of a UFC fight, or that 5-leg parlay, anytime touchdown, and then we go into Monday Night Football. We need Mike Evans to score a touchdown.
Oh, the
$25 to hit 2,500, like all day. You have a whole 24 hours to fantasize about how many sneakers and bills you can pay with this bet. That's what we live for, man. That's why we do it. It's the best and worst feeling in the world. But even as it's happening, like every time the Bucks in this scenario would have the ball, you're like, come on, Mike.
How far have you gone in fantasizing about what you would do with the winnings? Can I tell you what I did for this one?
Yeah, tell me.
I measured my backyard's dimensions because I was about to get some new turf and I was about to get some concrete. I was going to patio furniture. You know how fucking expensive that shit is? Oh, dude, I measured the dimensions.
Yeah.
I didn't even know where my fucking tape measure was.
Yeah.
Had to scavenge for that shit.
Dude, don't even go too far back. This summer, I had a chance to win $35,000 with Colombia and England. I parlayed both of them. I drove all the way to Arizona. True story. Shout out to the Hoover Dam. Degenerate Island is what I like to call it. There's a spot as you drive towards Arizona from Nevada that it's the first exit after, like, welcome to the Hoover Dam. And you see the whole, like, the outlook of the dam. It's pretty popping. I can't front. But then there's a little service road over there. You pull right over there. And every time I've gone there, bro, I see Nevada license plates. And they're pulled over to the side. And I'm like, one of us.
100%.
They know exactly what we're doing right now. So I put in a $500 free bet. So I deposited, but then I got the money back when I lost eventually. But it was a free bet on Bet 365. I parlayed England and Colombia, $500 to win $34,500.
Wow.
I got both of them to make the final. Mind you, Colombia was like the fourth favorite, 12 to 1, and England was the favorite, right? And then I had a Real Madrid England parlay. I called it the Jude parlay. Jude Bellingham plays for both teams.
I remember.
So I had a chance for about $35,000. The games ended on like Wednesday. Until Sunday, bro, I'm thinking about like, I'm gonna do mad hoe shit. I was thinking about my Colombia trip. I was like, yo, do I go to Greece from there? If I find someone down there, do I bring them with me? How many bills am I paying? Am I paying student loans off? Do I finally get the reverse Grinches? Do I go crazy and get some Red Octobers for $4,000? Like, I was thinking nuts. Do I get a watch? I'm not even a watch guy. So you're telling me about turf in the backyard. I was thinking about like everything but the right things to do with my money.
Right. No, trust me, bro. I mean, listen, I haven't even painted my fucking bedroom, right? Like when you're in the process of like building out a house, I don't know, for whatever reason, you're like, the bedroom's last because nobody sees it ever, you know? So you're like, let's decorate the rest of the shit. Still haven't done that, and I want turf in the backyard. So, but it's fucking pricey. And regardless, I had to ask because, bro, dimensions in the back, tape measure. The tape measure wasn't long enough. I had to find a way to fucking mark halfway. It was terrible. But anyways, Nick, where do you want to start today?
Well, we did spend a lot of time on this opening banter, so we'll save the one topic. Let's get into some sports. I definitely we'll bring it up after Patreon. I want to start with the 76ers.
Yeah.
Officially, by the rules, they are eliminated from the playoffs. Those that listen to the NBA preview show that I did with Combo, shouts to Combo from Combo's Court, I said that my favorite bet of the year, George, was the under 49.5 wins for the 76ers. I thought it was an all-time bad line. We mentioned about the 49ers in the NFL, and then we also mentioned this about the Vikings. One, it worked in our favor. The other one, we couldn't have been more wrong, and we figured that out after like week 6. That's an all-time bad read. Mm-hmm. But there was cause for concerns, right? The season from hell, the red flags coming into the year. The 76ers signed Paul George. They re-signed Maxey. They signed Joel Embiid. They have about $650 million allocated to these three players. And each of them had, maybe not Maxey, but the other two had red flags coming into the year.
For sure.
And you're looking at it, you're like, yo, if all these guys are healthy, they're a top 3 seed in the East potentially.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the problem. They're never healthy.
No.
At this point, we've understood the assignment when we're talking about the 76ers. So they're officially out. It was my favorite bet of the year. It's a bet that like not a lot of public people make because it's a win total, right? It's minus 110 either way for the most part, and it's a future. So are you putting $200 on the under to wait to cash it now? Season started Halloween.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people don't really like the futures. I love the futures. We've hit a bunch of futures over the years. I think everyone that comes on the show or listens to the show knows that like I love futures because it's a low risk, high reward. You become a fan of a team throughout the year, and then all of a sudden you're like, why the fuck do I know so much shit about the LA Rams out of nowhere? Like I knew everyone on the Rams team in 2021. So my question to you is, how did you feel about the 76ers coming into the year? And then how would you fix them?
Well, when your best player coming into the year is Tyrese Maxey, and I think he proved that from the playoff performance that he had the year previous. And I am completely over this Joel Embiid on and off. Like when you need him most, he's not available. So the 76ers for me have been a team that as a Celtics fan, I've never worried about. And I would way rather worry about the Bucks or for a strange reason, the Miami Heat up until this year. And the fact that you chose the Sixers under, and you were telling me this well before the season even started, that this is where you were leaning. How much did you stay up with the team throughout the year? Did you feel like vindicated because you chose their under? Because you were saying like, I choose futures so I can follow a team. How much fun is it to follow a team that you want to do really bad?
I would say that with the Sixers, just knowing the injury reports and knowing how often guys weren't playing, it kind of doesn't make it fun following it too. Like, I don't feel good when I make a call and someone gets hurt. Like, that's not...
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Even though, like, part of my handicap was like, oh, it's kind of concerning that all these guys are always...
We know
like, bro,
exactly... we know his injury history. It's not...
Yeah, and here's the other thing, too, right? Like, for a topic we're going to discuss a little bit later, I think it's a red flag when guys miss time early in their career because chances are they're probably... as they get older and they miss time and they get hurt, it's going to take you longer to recover, bro. When you're 23 and you pull a hamstring, you could be back in 2 weeks. When you're 33, you're probably out a month.
Yeah.
And then it lingers. And that's the thing. Like, bro, Paul George, I'll never forget last year, dude, I was watching some game last year in the regular season. And I'm here in the studio. I vividly remember this. And I'm like laying down on the little like couch setup that we have. And they go from Fresno State, Paul George, year 14. And I was like, 14? What the fuck? When the hell did he play for 14 years?
Yeah, dude.
And this guy, he's been around, right? And to me, I think anytime a guy has injury concerns like that, and the fact that he's even playing basketball after that injury that he suffered here in Vegas,
100%.
when his leg literally snapped in half.
Yeah.
Hats off to him, the career that he's ended up having. He's signed 2 max deals since that. So by all means, and I remember doing veterans minimum when he went to the Thunder. He was my pick for MVP that year. He came in 3rd in MVP. He was all NBA, and he was a beast on both sides of the floor. But at this point, man, these are concerns, bro. These are concerns. And I just think that anytime your best players are injury prone,
yeah,
it's not going to get better.
No, for sure. And my statement at the beginning saying that Tyrese Maxey was their best asset coming into this next season, did you feel that way too? Or am I tripping based on the way that the outlook was projected? I'm saying that solely because I think the youthfulness, I think the speed that he brought to the floor, I think that he's a top-notch player.
No, I think you're right, because like last year he became one of the top point guards in the East, and then also like him, I remember when they went up against the Knicks, he was doing his thing against Brunson, and Brunson was getting all the hype. And he was a guy that when they paid him earlier than they should have. But I liked it, man. I think that's the guy that you kind of build around, because when you look at Joel Embiid, right? Like right now, he's 31 years old, just turned 31. It's done. It's done in Philly. Like the process is completely over. It's been over. But I think what you got to do is you got to try to trade these guys and completely rebuild and just build around Maxey. You have a top point guard, especially in the conference. Yeah, he's young, and Maxey right now, as I'm looking at it, he's 24 years old. Build around him. Build around him. You know, now they kind of have. They have a good shot of maybe getting a Cooper Flag or getting another young guy. Yeah. You never know. Like that's a cool. Let me ask you this. Do you like how the NBA has a lottery, or do you prefer it being like the NFL where worse gets rewarded?
The lottery's dope, because then it prevents like hardcore tanking that we see in the NFL. Because you're like
tanking-ish now.
Correct.
Yeah.
Tanking adjacent.
Yeah.
You're just like, you're flirting with tanking. And yeah, I think the lottery prevents that. So that's a plus. If they got Cooper Flag, now we're talking, there's your answer. There's a wing player that can also be active on the defensive end, and he'll need to get through all the bumps and bruises, but you're talking about like a Kelly Oubre on steroids, like right off the rip. So
at the time we're recording, 3 teams have 14% chances on getting the number 1 pick. It's the Jazz, the Wizards, and the Hornets. 12% are the Pelicans. 10.5% are the 76ers.
They'll get it.
So they're in that discussion. And like, bro, honestly, Pelicans, I don't want to see them get a top pick. They've gotten Anthony Davis. They've gotten Zion. Like, you've had enough luck, right? Like, I'm cool with that. 76ers also, you've had top picks as well. I don't want to see you get it. I think it'd be cool for a team like the Hornets. Bro, the Hornets, same. Let me tell you, the Hornets, they're a team next season, probably bet on them to make the playoffs.
Got it.
Miller hurt. LaMelo just got hurt. Really young team, which is a gift and a curse. Brings us into the Memphis Grizzlies now.
I was going to say, dude.
Taylor Jenkins gets fired. It's dope when you have a really young team because of like the future from a basketball on the court capabilities. The problem is you got no adults in the room. They have not one guy on the roster that's 30 or more, like 30 or older. And it's a problem when you have a bunch of young guys. It's why Udonis Haslem played in the league for as long as he has. It's why you have the David Wests when he goes to the Warriors still playing. While you have all these grizzled vets throughout their careers. It's like, yo, why is he so... Oh, that 38-year-old, he's important because he makes sure like, yo, bro, we're not going out. We got a game tomorrow. Or like, yo, chill out. The temptations off the court. You're 21 You're 21
Hey, you were going to go here. You actually need to go here.
There's that too.
They're bigger over there.
It's more low key. You'll be protected. No one got their phones out. We know the spots. There's that too, for sure. But listen, veteran leadership.
Correct.
Right? And these guys are just as important. So when you're looking at Memphis firing Taylor Jenkins, Memphis is an interesting team, right? Because 3 of the last 4 years, they were the 2 seed. And I say that because they were the 2 seed before this 25-game stretch that led to him getting fired. They went 9-14, and he ends up getting fired. And this year, Triple J, Bane, and Morant have only played 31 games together. It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's the problem. It's your 3 best guys. And your best ability is availability. And it brings me to this. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I feel like Ja Morant is the worst kind of superstar to have.
Elaborate on that. And I'll give you my take afterwards, but I think you're on to something here with this.
I never want to be in a position where my bang for your buck is not justified. He's missed a lot of time for off the field, off the court issues, the health concerns. And why it's the worst kind of superstar to have is because every jersey in Memphis is number 12. A shitload of young kids in elementary school, junior high school, all have his sneakers. Probably, I don't really know the Memphis sports scene that well, but a top 3 Memphis sports figure of all time already?
Bro, when we said Memphis in that list that we made a while ago, you could say Ja Morant, and it's valid.
Yeah.
Based on, he now has like the articles written about him that would give him the blue check mark back in the day. You know how everybody needed the articles? Yeah. He's done plenty off the court shit that has made him a Memphis staple. And now, LeBron treatment. This is Ja Morant didn't like this guy. They never got along. You can sense it with coaches. And even last year when you would see like playoff games, you're just like, I don't know, man.
So I don't think that was the issue. I think them two kind of got along because there was never any like, you're a big body language guy. Mm-hmm. And there was never any reports of that. I think it's him not being available. Listen to this. Since he got into the league in 2019, 67, 63, 57, 61, 9, and 44 games is what he's played.
Yeah.
That's awful. That's awful. And why I say it's the worst kind of superstar to have is because on court capabilities, it's everything you want. Mm-hmm. He's literally trying to eviscerate someone under the rim. Even his missed dunks are like the greatest dunks ever.
Correct.
When he goes to the rim, it's so fun and scary because every time it's a high-speed car wreck.
Yeah.
Which is a gift and a curse. It's fun and amazing, but then also when he lands every time, we're like, oh shit, there's an ACL, there's an Achilles, there's a fucking, this shoulder pop, there's all that shit too. Mm-hmm. But this is the problem. This is why I mean he's the worst kind of superstar to have. Not from ability on the court, it's the availability, bro. He hasn't played, and I understand the load management and guys aren't playing 82, so we don't want guys to play 82. Can you play 70? Cool. He's nowhere near that since his rookie season. And this is a team that's been a 2 seed. Mm-hmm. They were a 2 seed in back-to-back years. And then this year they were a 2 seed. And then they go on this 9-14 stretch. And it sucks because it's like, what do? You can't trade him because then what does Memphis have from a ticket standpoint? Mm-hmm. Like the league is in a good spot where like, say what you want about it. And I think one of the big issues that the NBA does have is that there are so many superstars, but it's that guys are not playing. They're missing way too many games for no reason. Mm-hmm. And then, but every team has a guy you would pay to play for. You would pay to go watch. Yeah, except for like maybe Washington, right? But like outside of that, almost every team, and like Utah, outside of that, almost every team got a guy you'd be like, damn, bro, they're coming into town. I would love to go see them. Dude, that was the Knicks thing for the longest time. It wasn't to see the Knicks. It was the Knicks would win like 15 games a year, and Section 412 was $200 to get in because you wanted to see LeBron.
Correct.
You wanted to see Durant. You wanted to see Curry. So you were paying the visitor's tax. Whereas if it wasn't Madison Square Garden, bro, those tickets should have been 32 cents.
Yeah.
But you're paying the MSG tax. You're paying to see these guys coming in. Where I have one of my good friends, Josh. He's a Pistons fan. He would drive to Philly to watch the Pistons play. And this is when the Pistons had nobody.
Oh, my God.
It's like Andre Drummond Pistons. But he would go there because he's like, bro, if I drive there and I pay for a ticket, I could be courtside basically for $200 in total as opposed to paying $200 and I'm in Section 412.
Very true.
That's the New York tax. So to bring it back to Ja Morant, in a lot of sports, it's like this, bro. It's like, damn, it sucks to be in a scenario like how we talk about with Tua and Dak.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to pay him $55 million, but I have to because they're good enough to fill up the building, keep us respectable, can go to toe-to-toe with anyone in the regular season, at least from what we've seen.
Yeah.
But it's like, what's my ceiling? A wild card appearance? What's my ceiling here? A Western Conference Finals, which is good, especially in the West being what it is. But it's just the worst type of guy to have because what do? Do you let him go? Or do you re-sign him? And you're taking on all this fuckery in a good sense.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by he's the worst type of superstar to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the superstar tax. I think that's
a good point.
That's the wide receiver position in the NFL at times. That's what you want, because you'll know when he's truly happy when he finds a way to get his ass on the court night in and night out, and that's why I think the relationship could have been a little more sour than we think, and I think he has something to do with that. He is their game plan. What teams do this, Nick? Like, what teams have you seen do this in the past? You're not in danger of missing the playoffs. You could make a run here. You never know. The West is really, really tough. But, I mean, I can think the Golden Knights did this one year where they were like first place in the West. They were slated to make the playoffs, and then they fired their coach. And it makes no sense to me. But I think there's, very few organizations have the nuts to show their cards early because, in a sense, it's a good start. It's kind of like a fresh start in the middle of the season to get the guys reinvigorated and going again. How do you, I mean,
bro,
is there any other examples of this?
I can't think of one.
You can think of one?
I can't think of one where you fire a coach unless it's like some John Gruden shit. Like, that was the first one that came to mind because they ended up making the playoffs that year.
Yep.
With Bisaccia coming in and then Derek Carr. I remember saying, like, I would vote for him for MVP from just, like, keeping the team together and, like, a leadership. Like, there should be a leadership captain award.
Correct.
That's what Derek Carr should get. That's the only one I could think of. But he had, like, the racist emails and the crazy texts and the fucking voicemails. That's a different... Like, there's a reason for that.
And Henry Ruggs.
And that. There's a reason for that. But firing a guy right before 10 days before the playoffs or 10 games before the playoffs.
Like, whoa.
It's like, why not wait until the season just ends or when you crash out in the playoffs? Like, I don't know. That's where it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you give this, but I think this is their game plan, or at least the organization's like, hey, we know that's, like you were saying, that's our ceiling. Let's blow this motherfucker up quick and then just see if we can run the table and get lucky.
So here's the thing, and this ties into a lot of aspects of life. What are we judging you on? Are we judging you on wanting to be great or winning a title? Or are we not? And I say that because, like, it's a conversation I have with a lot of my friends in the fight game. I'm like, yo, do we judge you on becoming champion? Or do we judge you on being a fight of the night, 50K bonus kind of fighter? Because the way I'm going to judge and assess your fights is going to play into that.
Very true.
The Memphis Grizzlies, are we judging you on winning a title and being great? Or are we judging you on being a competent franchise, respectable? You get people in the arena, you have a superstar, you have a fun young team, and whatever happens in the playoffs happens. I think that's how you got to measure greatness. Like, what's the expectation that we have for you? Because, like, bro, listen. I don't think, even prior to them being fired, they were 35-1 to win the title. You're not. The title's coming from one of 5 places: Golden State, Lakers, Nuggets, Celtics, Cavs.
Yep.
And the Thunder, 6 places. We don't, what the Mavericks did last year, that's why I was so proud of the 40-1 call.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that don't happen often. Very rarely. Since 2000, there's been 4 teams 20-1 or more to win a title. It was the Pistons, it was the Raptors, it was the first Golden State year, and then it was the Mavericks in 2011. That's it. Like it. Every other time, it's the biggest issue I used to have, George, with my buddies back home when we first started doing VM. It was like right around the time when Warriors and Cavs were going to the finals every year. I'd be like, dude, why do we got to talk NBA? We know who's going to be in the finals. It's like, well, we know who's going to win the AFC East every year. We know the Pats are going to make it to the conference championship game with Brady.
Yeah.
Why do we like talking about football? Oh, because we could bet on it. Oh, because there's fantasy football. Oh, because it's the red zone. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's because it's once a week and it's America's game. It's the same thing. How many times do we talk about futures? I'm like, your winner's coming from the top 6, whether it's the World Cup, whether it's the NBA, whether it's the NFL, a Euro Cup. Like this idea of a 90-1 long shot to win a title, like that happens once a decade across all fucking sports. This ain't happening all the time. So I need to know how you want to be measured as greatness.
Yeah.
Like I've told this story many times. I got one friend, bro, back home, nicest kid in the world, George. If your sister dated him and they broke up, you'd blame your sister. You'd be like, you fucked this up. Most complacent kid in the world. He's chilling with his $78K a year that he makes, has his 3 weeks vacation. Mm-hmm. I don't like to work out. I could judge him off that. That's what he wants to do. If he wanted to do more, then I can judge him and be critical and criticize him and critique him.
Right.
So that's what I'm asking with Memphis. Like, yo, you really think you're going to win a ring? Because this is what this tells me. It's like, we don't like this direction with him, and we think we could still win a ring.
Yeah. No, I think you've hit the nail right on the head there with that. I do think they're a fun team in the playoffs. I think they're one of the more physical teams that could go like, dog for dog. Like they got each other's backs, bro. They're a Memphis team that reminds me of early 2000s Memphis at times. Mainly from Bane. Bane's a menace. Bane's a menace on the floor. But regardless, that's what we expected. They hit the nail right on the head. They were supposed to be a playoff team. 35-1, you said?
Yeah. Well, this was before the firing. Now it's 45-1.
Interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
You could. That's 10 points of value if you like the Grizzlies.
This would be equivalent to, let's just say, trying to think of an NFL comparison. What would be an NFL comparison if Taylor Jenkins got fired around this time? Ooh, I got a good one. Doug McDermott. If they fired him week 15 this past season, is a team that's been pretty competent, has
Sean McDermott.
Doug McDermott. Yeah, March Madness, bro.
Doug McDermott's got you, bro.
Yeah.
You were thinking a little Creighton Blue Jay, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, I'm a big college basketball guy, bro.
Oh my gosh, this guy can't get enough of it.
But yeah, Sean McDermott.
Yes.
That's who I could think like a Taylor Jenkins would be in this scenario. A guy that's been to the playoffs a bunch of times, has had success. And then imagine if the Bills were like, yo, good luck on your future endeavors right before week 15. You'd be like, what the fuck is happening in Buffalo?
Yeah. They should have thought about that. Yeah. But it just gave me weird vibes. Memphis is a team that they're on the verge. I feel like they're on the cusp. Edie, have you seen Edie play this year?
I think he's exactly how I thought he would play. It's like you're just
stereotypical.
Big, like a classic big man.
Right.
And I just think like he's going to have a decade-long career. Mm-hmm. And it's fine. Like, those guys are just as important, bro. I think the Knicks had Hartenstein last year, and he was a big part of their success. And then he goes on to the Thunder and signs that pretty lucrative contract for him, and he's flourishing right now in Oklahoma City. So those guys are important, bro. Like there's a couple of guys where you just know in all sports, like, you know what? He's gonna be a solid player for our franchise. And sometimes that's cool. Bro, as a Giants fan, I wish we could just draft guys that could fill a need for us for a couple of years. That'd be fantastic. That's why when people are like, yo, what do you want at 3? I'm like, someone to sign an extension off the rookie contract would be very nice. Because we don't have that. So that's what I thought about Zach Edey. And there's a bunch of guys, and it goes back to what I asked you before about greatness. Like, everyone we draft got to turn into LeBron and fucking Jaden Daniels.
Right.
Can they just turn into Baker Mayfield, your boy? Can they turn into someone that's just like competent and we're happy with?
Tyler Lockett,
yeah. Coming out of Kansas State, bro. Dude was very, very good career in Seattle. So that's how I want to measure this entire conversation. And when we talk about greatness, it's like, what are your goals? If I was a GM, bro, dead ass, I would fucking ask players that. I'd be like, what are your goals? Do you want to just light up the stat sheet? Do you want to make a shitload of money? Do you want to win championships? Do you want to just tell people that you're an NFL player? What is it? Then I can judge you off that. Because if you tell me like, bro, I'm kind of just really good at this shit and I want to cash in and bounce. Okay, cool. I don't need to put those expectations on you. It's a big problem that I have, me personally. Sometimes I'm like, not you, for example, because I think one of the reasons why us two get along so well and this dynamic works is because a lot of fucking Spider-Man memes where we're looking at the same kind of person. But it's like, why the fuck doesn't George want more? Why doesn't he? And my problem has always been like, bro, not everyone's like me. I'm a sick individual when it comes to like my craft, bro. Like I care about it. I think about it all the time. When people used to ask me like, how much time do I spend on my podcast or like the content creating? I'm like 24/7. They're like, no way. I'm like, I am constantly thinking of like, man, let me bang out an edit real quick. Let me see if I can fuck with a lower third. Bro, I learned how to make lower thirds on my own. Watching YouTube videos. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, not everyone wants that, bro.
Correct.
And going back to my friend being complacent, like, that's how I'm judging him.
For sure.
So to bring it all back to this conversation with Ja Morant and with Memphis, it's like, I need to know what is it that you want. And then from there, I could be like, when I'm with the board of directors of the team, I'll be like, yo, George is just happy to collect a check and he's not a headache. There's no fucking domestic violence reports off the field we got to address and have these like emergency press conferences. Like, yo, he's not going to be a headache. He's going to cash in. And if we win with him, we win with him. That's how I would approach it if I was an owner and a GM.
Oh, I think we discussed that in like, what was it? The last episode. If not, go check it out. The
with Sanders.
Which sports team would you want to own?
Owning the teams,
Yeah. That was a good combo. But yeah, you could work in a little survey for that, Nick. Maybe a little Google form for all your players. You'd be the Google form owner. They'd be clowning you, bro. Do you ever think about like how much the players clown the owners? Just because that's like the athlete thing to do?
Bro, I would not get clowned because like...
You think that, bro.
Bro, I'm a fucking killer, dude.
I know it sucks to think, but I think every owner gets shit on constantly.
But yeah, every owner is like 60 and old and white. Yeah, that's why they get shitted on.
Yeah, but they think like, oh, Paul George is my best friend. You know, he's not.
Yeah, I don't think Mark Cuban got shitted on.
Yeah, I think he passed.
Because he was like he passed the vibe test.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: Steve Ballmer, way too easy to clown on.
Yeah.
You feel me? So
because
like,
it's not authentic
balance
to himself. He's being too. Exactly, too much. Yeah, too much. You know,
tone it down.
One of my favorite stories about James Dolan is, you know, he has a band.
Oh my God.
And he opened up for Billy Joel at MSG. And he said it's an honor and a privilege to open up in Madison Square Garden for Billy Joel. And it's like, you fucking idiot. You own the building. You could open up for anybody. What are we doing here?
Right.
You'd be like, yo, Billy, guess what? I'm opening tonight. No. Who's going to say anything?
True.
This is my shit.
Yeah, it's so true, bro. That's wild.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? But no, bro, if I was like, dude, if I own a team when I'm like 50, I'm a fucking black belt. I'm 34 now. If I'm not a black belt by 50, something's wrong.
Yeah, bro.
Definitely had to put the time in. Like, I think there's something if like you can't take someone in a fight, you kind of level the shit talking to a certain extent.
Nick, I get what you're saying. You're saying you're gonna fucking like flash a professional athlete here that you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu. That's tough, bro. Like these are fucking. You're paying these guys millions of dollars. Like
Tough spot to be in.
you'd be like, bro, you'd have your fucking samurai sword and black belt behind you in your office. That'd be pretty badass.
That would be
Come to my office. Let me talk.
Yeah, come here. I'll sit on my butt as I'm like, yeah, stay back. Don't get too close.
That's hilarious.
Hey, let's do a Patreon read
Yes.
before we talk about some other fun stuff. Patreon.com/Veterans Minimum. Listen, I'll say it again. We don't ask for too much. We ask for $1 American. $1 American. It's about 3 cents a day, a month. That's it. George, we're not asking for too much.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Right? $1 American. Patreon.com/Veterans Minimum. Big ups to Arabia, Mahul Patel, Thomas Robinson, Abel Rezin, Ben Kotzian, Christopher Velasquez, Derek Plades, Devin Rendon, Dylan Chadwick, Jerry Shapiro, Jordan Riley, Mike Stevens, Nicholas Messina, and Nick Crummage. Thank you all for your contributions to the Patreon. And an update on March Madness. George, let's take a look and see who
Is at the top.
Let's see who has life, brother.
Bro,
Let's see.
I know
who doesn't have life? Me and George.
I wanted to cancel the contest, dude, after week 1. But my dad was bragging about it. I think my pops is at the top. Is he not? In the top 5?
What's it? Is he Bill Lutz?
No.
But so Boomer Bill Lutz is in first.
Okay.
He has the most available points. He has Florida. Overthink Thomas Robinson is in second. He has Auburn. Tyler Edwards has Duke. Adrian Herrera has Florida. And Ryan Mullins has Duke as well.
Oh, yeah, no.
So, yeah. And then we have
rough Sunday.
Kiki. Is that him?
No, Kiki's my uncle.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's in seventh. He got Houston. So if Houston wins it, we'll probably have to pay Unc out. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it's the boys.
Do we have any points remaining?
I actually have 880 points remaining. Sounds like a lot, but it's not. I'm fourth from the bottom in most available points.
Am I at the very bottom?
George is. You actually have more available points than me. Yeah.
Man, that sucks. The entire contest.
Hey, the
sucks.
missus, the missus.
Yeah.
She's ahead of you. She got Florida.
Oh yeah, yeah. They give out participation trophies. I heard. So be expecting yours in the mail.
Patreon.com/Veterans. Remember, the winner of this contest is going to get $250 American. Thank you all for the contributions to the Patreon. Patreon.com/Veterans Minimum. George, let's have a little fun here. What is your morning routine? Have you been seeing? Obviously, you've been seeing because you're on the internet all the time.
Yeah.
Have you been seeing this morning routine stuff from this dude? Ashton Hall has a ridiculous morning routine. He's been going stupid viral, hilarious.
Yeah.
Actually, forget thoughts. What is your morning routine before we start? Give me a day in the life of Mr. George Carmona.
Weekday or weekend?
Give me a weekday and then give me a weekend.
Okay. Weekday is wake up 6:30. 7, because the missus is waking up, so she's doing all her shit. You know, they're not silent. So like the bedroom's close to the shower and everything. So I'm like starting to wake up around 6:30. Let's say I make it all the way to 7. From 7 to 7:30, we are resisting the urge to beat our meat. That is my, like, it's the MO. It's
The cranks.
You go and you use the bathroom. I insert that there, but like you want to avoid the early morning cranks. If we can get to a coffee and read the emails before any morning cranks, we're off to a hot start. So emails or coffee would be next. Secure the caffeine between 7:30 to 8. Emails from 8 to 8:30, and then we're flowing with the day at that point in time. That's a morning routine right there. It's simple. Sometimes we don't always win. We fall into the urge, and then we'd have to delay everything by 15 to 20 minutes. But hey, it's a constant battle every day. Ashton Hall, that's what he's doing. It's so like pre-programmed and planned. What types of battles is he having to go through? You know?
He's going through a lot.
He's going through a lot, but like think about the battle that I'm going through compared to what he's going through. That's tough. That's tough. Like he didn't mark it in there that he isn't secretly trying to not wank it from 3:30 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Maybe he's sneaking it in there somewhere. I don't know.
Can I just say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
Unless it has to do with work.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to have to wake up at 2:30 in the morning because of work when I worked at the coffee truck with my dad.
Right.
There's no fucking reason you should wake up before 4 a.m.
Agreed.
Unless I got to catch a flight, we're going on a road trip, but to like voluntarily be like, I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m., you're a psychopath. It's not necessary. Just stay up then. Mm-hmm. Just stay up, right? Mm-hmm. Just stay up. My morning routine, I wake up anywhere between 8:30 to 9 o'clock every morning because Darce wakes me up.
Nice.
If it was up to me, I'd sleep in like I was back in college until 1 p.m. But I feel like a piece of shit when I wake up after like 10 a.m., right? I only wake up that early also, one, because Darce wakes me up, so I got to walk him and feed him. Also because I go to train in the morning. The entire time I'm walking Darce, I'm like, should I just give him to my mom? Like, do I really love him as much as I do? I fucking hate it. I hate getting up that early. It's not even as crazy as this is.
Right.
Every morning I go through this, bro. Every morning I go through this. I walk him, I come back, I feed him. I stare at my rash guard. I'm like, do I want to go and fucking sweat on people and fucking have to wrestle and fight for my life and shit? Yeah, get a shiner underneath my, like, I don't want to do it. But I go and I do it because I'm disciplined and I also love it, right? But in the last year and a half, it's been the best year and a half of my life. You go to my crib right now, my bed is not made. I haven't sauna'd. I don't cold plunge in the morning. I don't meditate. I don't read 30 pages of a fucking book. I don't wake up before 6 a.m. Everything that they tell you on social media, it's all like to create content, like what this is.
Of course.
It's not necessary. I don't drink sparkling water.
Yeah.
Right? Like to me, it's, yo, when you're awake, are you productive? I don't care when you wake up. When you're awake,
correct,
are you productive? There's times where like I nap in the afternoon. Why? Because I do mad shit from when I wake up until then. I'm like, yo, you know what? I got 90 minutes. What do? I know you're thinking like crank. I fight that urge too.
Right. I think we all do.
Who doesn't?
You have to say it though, because if not, then, you know.
You're a weirdo if you don't have those temptations, I think.
And then like women will just, you know, like they don't appreciate it. Like we don't go through the whole day with that hardship over our head. Like it can happen, you know, and we're just fighting that urge. But yes, back to naps are okay. Isn't it weird in some cultures, like a morning routine like this dude's is so whack because like in Spain, everybody's asleep from 1 to 3.
Oh yeah. I call it in Greece too. In Greece too.
Yeah. Siesta time.
Yeah.
You know?
It's nap time.
And so
and then they wonder why their economy spiraled out of control in Greece too. I'm like, why are you guys going to bed at 1 p.m. every day?
And not waking up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
I just think that everybody says the same things and say that they do the same things, but I don't. And I think a lot of it is BS. Like I've been doing fairly well for myself. And if I had the option, if I wanted to, like, bro, Thursdays, no, I call it no alarm clock. I sleep in. If Darce don't wake me up, cool. I sleep in 12. I've seen 1:45.
It's clutch.
Yeah, I need it. I catch up. I don't nap after. Like if I wake up at 1:30 in the afternoon and then I nap also, you're gonna be like, yo, what the fuck is going on?
Narcoleptic.
Yeah, this is
sleeping
crazy.
During the middle of the show and shit.
Yeah, it was just funny to see these morning routines and people going crazy over them. And yeah, listen, if that's what you need to get going, cool. But I don't like when people are like, yo, if you don't make your bed, you're not gonna be successful. It's like, I don't know, man. I've been doing pretty well for myself, and on purpose, I don't make my bed. I only make my bed if I know people are coming over.
Interesting.
That's it. Like right now, if you were to be like, yo, let's go by your crib so I could give you some merch or some shit.
You'd be like, George, stay outside. I got to make my bed really quick.
no, I'd be like, yo, this is facts. This is how it is all the time.
And trust me, nobody's like should be going into your room being like, oh my God, what does Nick's bed look like? Like, if I did that, you should be like,
hey man, don't come over again.
Hey, you should come. We're stopping with the Monday shows. We're done with this for the time being. You're on timeout.
Yeah, let us know what your morning routine is and what you guys feel about just morning routine or just routines in general. I think they're important. Like, you know, I'm being silly, but I do have a routine. I kind of do the same things. I do the same 4 or 5 things every day, and then there's certain like blocks in my schedule that I dedicate to things that I like enjoying. Like on Fridays, I play Xbox from when I finish training until I go back to training. I'm not always playing, but I'm just like, yo, if the guys are going to play FIFA, if we're going to play fucking Marvel Rivals, whatever it's going to be, like, that's my day to play. I'm not playing it every day, but on those days I'm playing. I'm banging out 4 or 5 hours, just fucking at the monitor, just going crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I need it. It keeps me sane, bro.
For sure.
It keeps me sane.
For sure. Just last thing on routines here, and it will segue into the next thing. It's been routine on this show that right around this time, Nick, you pick some futures for the NFL that you like. And so I just want to keep the show's routine going. What futures are you thinking for this upcoming NFL season?
Would you believe me if I told you I'm 99.2% certain this is my offensive player of the year pick?
I just want to go back and just make sure that you want to make this because the schedules haven't been released, and that's typically your jumping off point. So this shocks me.
Yeah. I watched one play last year that was an incomplete pass that I said, I remember I texted you this, and I was like, he's winning Offensive Player of the Year next year. Bijan Robinson is my Offensive Player of the Year for 2025.
Wow.
He is currently at 20-1. Good number. Very nice number. He is coming off a monster season where he had 1,456 rushing yards. He had, how many receiving did he have? He had 431 receiving yards. Michael Penix ran a stop and go with him against the Commanders, and he overthrew him by like 10 yards. And I kind of got a little bricked up when I saw that play.
Damn.
I'll be honest. I was like, yo, that's the first time that they're playing together. Just the timing is off. But if they're going to be using him like this, he's 1,000. Yeah, he's 1,000,000. I think he'll get 1,000,000 next year. If I had the number 1 pick in fantasy football next year, I'm taking Bijan Robinson. I personally, rule of thumb, fantasy football players, we do have a lot of fun surprises going into next season for fantasy football. We're hiring some writers and some like fantasy football segments. We got a lot of good feedback last year. A lot of people took Jamar Chase, took Josh Allen, took Saquon Barkley.
For sure.
And they're like, you know, you guys didn't really talk about fantasy, but if you're so high on him, kind of correlates. You know what I mean? So we'll be having a lot of that. I personally don't like drafting the number 1 player in fantasy from the year before. If you look at the history of it, it doesn't replicate. Like they might have a good season,
right?
But it's not 2K for Barkley. So I like trying to take a stab on who's the next guy. To me, I think it's Bijan Robinson. I asked Alan, shouts to Alan Sturck. He covers the Falcons. He's like top 10 offensive line. He even said, I think Penix is going to open up the playbook for him. I think they could win their division. This is a team that, you know, they play in a controlled environment. Algiers on his last year of his contract. Do they trade him? What do they do? I think you're looking at a guy that could get north of 350 touches and the volume, and he has the wow play too.
Oh yeah.
He can juke someone and like have them sprain an ankle and be out for 3 weeks, and they're like, how do you get hurt? And you see him just shaking the shit out of someone. So listen, this is the first time that you're hearing about this. It's Monday, March 31st. That is who, like, 99%, bro. I'm almost positive this is my offensive player of the year from now.
I love this. I love this choice.
Do you think I'm getting too cute, bro? Like, should I?
No. You're not getting too cute. This is definitely a player that can get the same type of love that we had said Christian McCaffrey 2 years ago, Saquon last year, and he fits that mold. Now, do I think there's a couple of players that I'm like, is this a receiver's year? You know? And I know this is this would be getting cute with it, my friend. Malik Neighbors at a 32-1. When was the last time that a Giant, aside from Saquon, had that good of an odds to win Offensive Player of the Year?
Yeah, I'd have to remember what Odell's odds were.
Mm-hmm.
I know Odell won Rookie of the Year, and then Saquon had won Rookie of the Year. Yeah, Neighbors is interesting. You know, apparently Russ is like a top 3 quarterback on like 20-yard throws down the field. So Slayton and Neighbors. I just don't think the Giants are going to win enough. And I think even though it's heavily skewed towards stats, you also get rewarded for team success as well. Correct. Like if you look at the last couple of winners of Offensive Player of the Year, their teams have done very well. McCaffrey, Barkley, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry. It's like you're not giving it to some random schmo. Like you're giving it to someone that, I don't want to say it's exactly MVP status, but you're not giving it to a guy that's going 4-13.
Facts. Puka Nacua would be the receiver that fits this mold perfectly.
Okay, so he is another one that I think, like, if I'm gonna go receiver, it's the year 3 explosion. He's another one too.
Am I and this is a homer pick, but it hits my 60-1 funny bone. Tight end to win Offensive Player of the Year. Brock Bowers does it for Las Vegas with Geno Smith. Like, you got to think, Brock Bowers broke records with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. Not saying that Geno Smith is a Hall of Famer, but it is going to be a lot nicer.
It's like, an upgrade, yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah. Well, yo, it's
60-1.
It's funny you mentioned that, and, like, you're being silly, but also being serious. It's the case I make for, like, Russ. It's like, look at the quarterbacks the Giants have had the last couple of years. It's still not the best, but in comparison to what you once had,
yeah,
this is like,
wow,
a massive improvement. So, yeah, look, I'm still going to obviously wait for the schedule. It was something I wanted to just put out in the atmosphere.
Glad you did.
And
kept the routine.
Yeah, look, it's been something where, you know, I felt how I felt about Barkley will never, ever happen again. Like, again, it's not to sound like a broken record, but I feel very proud of that call. And I was validated by it, and we were talking about it for fucking a year. I don't feel that much conviction, but I feel really good about it. Feel really, really good about it, and I think I'm gonna take a stab on it in the coming weeks. I don't think the lines are gonna move too often unless fucking Matty Betts goes and puts a big wager on it and fucks the whole lineup.
No, bro, but what you need right now is some off-season fuckery. Like, you need some headlines to be written. Like, okay, shit. Okay, let's look at the people that are at the top of the list that we can inflate the number. Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford do a podcast together. Make that happen, Kelly Stafford, and get them both on the show and hype up how good they're going to play. That'll get Puka's number to go down. Shit, who else can we get there? CD Lamb and Dak Prescott on a vacation. A photo of that helps our price. What else can we get? Dude, I don't know. A quarterback winning the award? When was the last time a quarterback won Offensive Player of the Year? Because it's kind of been like a bouncing between receiver, running back. But there was a couple of quarterbacks that I was like, the situation that happened last year, bro, where Josh wins the MVP award. Oh, how nervous were you? Like,
so the last player to win Offensive Player of the Year and MVP was Pat Mahomes.
got it.
And then Matt Ryan did it, and then Cam Newton did it. But since Pat Mahomes, it's been receiver, running back, receiver, receiver, running back, running back. That's around the time where they're like, bro, Derrick Henry gets 2,000 yards, and he doesn't even sniff the MVP. It's basically become MVP is the quarterback award. Offensive Player of the Year is every other skill position.
Yep.
And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
I wish they would just say it.
They kind of are without saying it.
Yeah,
All right, it's like an unwritten rule.
I guess.
So,
But just take it off the board, bro. Like,
yeah,
all
don't
these-
even
all
allow
these
people to bet
books
it.
that are like, because I'm like, damn, Lamar at 30-1. Watch him get screwed over again next year, and then he makes like a viral post saying that the NFL's fucking crooked, and he wins it. Offensive Player of the Year.
Bro, check this out. Marshall Faulk from 1999 to 2001 won it 3 straight times. That is some baller shit. It's been him and Earl Campbell to win it back-to-back years. There's been a couple guys that have won it like multiple times, like Jerry Rice has won it multiple times, Barry Sanders, Terrell Davis. That's really it from what I'm seeing here. Peyton Manning has won it twice. But besides that, bro, it's Brady has won it twice. It's been quarterback ever since.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's been
running back or
wide receiver. There's never been a tight end.
Never been a tight end. Hey, if Nick's gonna toss something out there, I'm throwing out Brock Bowers.
Okay.
Yes.
And listen, whenever I hear obscure bets like that, you know what I say? We've spent money on worse.
Correct.
Right? What's $25 on 60-1? It's nice. Nice.
Get a chance just to sweat it out. I got to.
That's like you passing up on 5 Dutch Bros.
Of course.
Orders, right? Like
Yeah.
you're a big Dutch Bro guy,
For
coffee.
sure.
You're
I mean,
passing up.
we're just slightly overlooking it. You know how many times I bet him to score anytime touchdown last year going to Raiders games, and he didn't score his first touchdown at home until the very last game of the season.
Nice.
And he scored it with less than 5 minutes left.
Nice.
So just think about that. His last 5 minutes of his NFL season, he scored his first ever touchdown at home
Yeah.
and broke records as a rookie tight end.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. Remember it happened with me with Justin Jefferson? Every week I was betting him to score, and he wasn't scoring. And then he scored like 5 straight games in a row.
Yeah.
And I didn't
Multiple.
bet him. I didn't bet him.
Score
those
games,
times.
too.
That's usually what happens also.
Fuck. Terrible.
I want to end with this conversation, man, and I think it's a really fascinating one, and it's happening a lot more in recent memory, I think, with the emergence of how aware people are of CTE and brain damage in the NFL. Did you happen to hear what Puka said on a podcast last week?
No, fill me in on this, dude.
So he was on a podcast, and I apologize, I don't exactly recall what podcast it was on. Join the Lobby podcast is the name of the podcast, and he said that he's 23 right now. He's going into year 3, and he says he has about 7 or 8 more years of playing. He doesn't see himself playing past the age of 30. How do you feel about that?
I think he's one of those players that we look at as when you're a young superstar and you emerge the way that you have, and he just has built this brand and reputation behind him that's very clean, polished. BYU kid. Like he grew up here in Vegas, gets the stamp of approval from Dana White. I think he has so many good people in his circle that have put it into his head like, get your bread, stay healthy, bounce. And that's the best way to go about it. I think it's also very healthy. Like when you say, what's your goals for Ja Morant earlier on in the show, same thing for Puka. At least he's telling us up front that this is what he plans. And I know that if he ends up having a career that long, when you're 30 years old and you have the chance to make another $50 million or whatever crazy amount of money it is later on in your career, you're going to have to take that into consideration. I think we see plenty of players that will say this now, Nick, and then that time comes and that dollar amount is just the right amount and they re-up again. Or they're just that fucking good. Like, think about how good science has gotten. Imagine when Puka's, 7 years from now, it doesn't matter all those lingering injuries he had at the beginning of his career. He's biologically the same age that he was when he made this statement on the podcast. So I have no issue with it, truthfully. I have an issue with it when players kind of like do it out of the blue and they don't fill in the team, and the team ends up being the one that gets like the shit end of the stick because they're blindsided. How do you feel about it?
Well, to your point, that's what happened with Andrew Luck. Mm-hmm. There was a beat writer or a radio host when, I don't know if it was local, but I was obsessed with Andrew Luck. I thought he was the one. I remember, I'm not the biggest college sports fan, even though I was trolling before. Like, everyone knows that. But I remember watching him at Stanford. And like, bro, if you can I'm a fan of non-traditional schools developing quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like, you look at the NFL right now, like, the MVP is from Wyoming and Louisville. Mm-hmm. And Mahomes played at Texas Tech. It's like, usually you would think, oh, Ohio State, Miami,
yep,
Michigan, Bama. No, it's like these guys that Drew Brees played at Purdue. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's like you don't have the same level of talent around you. So I loved Andrew Luck. But Andrew Luck, when he stepped away from the team 2 weeks before the season started, everyone was like, pro health and good for you, take care of your well-being. One reporter was like, kind of sold his team out. Dude got suspended from the radio, bro. Because it's one of those situations where, like,
if you don't follow the
narrative and the trend on social media, you're a piece of shit.
Crazy.
Where it's like,
that's insane.
It's kind of like, yeah, to your point. The reason why I bring it up is because of that. Like, I agree with you. If you're telling people like, yo, this is my plan. What did I say before? How are we measuring you? Now we know what to measure Puka Nacua on. Like, hey man, I want to maybe sign a nice, wide receivers are making $40 million a year. I'm on trajectory to make that. Mm-hmm. And then after my contract is done, maybe I'm out. Right. Yeah. And I have all my well-being intact. And, he mentioned Aaron Donald. He's like, yo, Aaron Donald going out on top, Super Bowl champion, accomplished everything. He could still play at a high level. He comes around the facility and we're like, bro, you could still fucking play. But I'm cool with it. Like, this is a guy who we spoke about it in the past too. We're like, dude gets fucking smoked on the field, bro. Like, there's like 3 hits a game. We're like, oh, he's out for the year.
He's a real upright running receiver. Like, he's prone to getting his clock cleaned just because of how high his pad level is. He'll catch everything. But yeah, that's something he's got to work on this next year.
Yeah, so to me, if you look at the last couple, there's been a bunch of NFL players that have retired early, bro. Like, Luke Kuechly, mm-hmm, Andrew Luck, obviously, Patrick Willis, Chris Borland, who played for the Niners also after his rookie season.
Megatron.
Well, Megatron was, I think it's the fact that his team won 4 games a year for the most part too.
True.
But he did say it was his health that was his top priority. Barry Sanders left the game early because he's like,
we suck.
We're not that good. You know what I mean? So there is that. But then there's guys that stayed far too long.
Michael Thomas
left the game. Yeah, not officially, but like kind of unofficially.
Yeah.
So you do have that as well too, but I think with the emergence of the research and CTE, like in the past, they didn't know the repercussions like they know now. Mm-hmm. And I'm of a believer, like, you know what you're signing up for. When you're in the public eye, you open yourself to scrutiny. You gotta deal with that. If not, then don't try to be an influencer or a public figure. Have a regular job.
Right.
But when you do create content or you do play an athletic venture like that, you're going to leave yourself open to some criticism. And it's not going to always be positive. A lot of it's going to be negative, and it's going to hit you where it hurts. My biggest concern, it's the same thing when I hear fighters talking about one more fight and I'm out. I'm done. Don't do it. And fighting in football is very similar in the sense that it's like it beats the shit out of you, literally, where I don't want my fighter going into fights being like, I'm half in, half out. Nah, man. If I hear the R word that you're planning on retiring, I'm out. I don't care what the betting line is. I don't care what the matchup is. You're just not committed there. And it's dangerous, man. It's very dangerous. You see what happens to guys like Cowboy Cerrone, Tony Ferguson.
Yep.
Like, man, you should have been out 5 fights ago, but who am I to tell them not to?
Drew Dober this past weekend was one that I was like, oh, Drew, come on. And I was like, I quickly realized I was like, shit.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. In the fight game, like, my least favorite quality that people describe fighters is toughness. I'm out. I don't like hearing that you're tough. I feel like it's a prerequisite of you being a fighter. Like, you're a tough son of a bitch. You voluntarily step into a cage to beat the shit out of someone, you're a tough SOB.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that their best quality is he has a great chin. It's like, well, eventually when it goes, though, they get folded by jabs.
True.
Right? So with Puka, he gets the shit kicked out of him. He's young. I'd be a little concerned. Because I don't like hearing that this early. I like that he has a plan for his future also. It's weird, right? Because I feel like I'm being hypocritical. As I'm speaking, I'm like, I'm kind of not making sense.
No, bro, you're fine. I just think we could say anything. Nick, in 10 years from now, I want to fucking rescue dolphins. That's pretty much what that statement is. It's like, yeah, is it weird that I'm saying that I'm going to rescue dolphins in 10 years? And would you start to psychologically wonder why I'm saying that? But it doesn't matter. It won't affect us for another 10 years. 7 years in this case. In 15 years, I want to go on a panda retreat, you know?
Well, it brings up the thing I always like to say, like, if, you know, I saw this reel recently that said that $10 million, if someone was to give you $10 million right now, you wouldn't be able to survive the rest of your life.
Come on, bro. 10 mil? Like, what are you doing?
The guy's name is DDG. DDG. I think he's like a streamer, rapper. He might be, but he was talking about this. He was getting interviewed by some podcaster, and he was like, "Yo, $10 million. It's not life changing. It can't you can't stop doing what you're doing now." And I'm like, bro.
They're so disconnected with what normal life looks like. Exactly. You know what I mean? They're just they're so keeping up with the Joneses and everything. Their entire life is structured around looking the part, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like,
when you put things into perspective and add context to it, I was talking with my buddy Dimitri over the weekend. We went to get dinner, and he was like, "Yo, what's like your goal, like financially?" And I was like, $1 million a year. That's $83,000 a month. You mean to tell me you can't survive off that?
See, that's what I mean. It's more than enough, bro.
It is way more than enough.
Way more than enough to do whatever you want to still.
I could blow $10K a month on betting, and I'd still be chilling.
Yeah.
But to your point, people are so out of touch with reality that they say dumb shit like that.
And it gets them the clicks and the attention just because it's like, no, you're literally talking to the 1% that can somewhat relate. And then the rest of us just think you're a fucking jabroni.
It's the issue I had with NBA players during the bubble when they would say that they had mental health issues and they were depressed. I cannot get behind that, bro. You made $38 million that season. $38 million. What problems do you have, man? Like, honestly, I know mental health, and I've had my issues with mental health, and I've expressed it. I've had mental health experts on the show in the past where we talked about depression and suicide and all that shit. So I'm for it.
Right.
I'm not for stupidity, which is what that is. You can't sit there and look me in the face and tell me you can relate to the average person with the problems that you have when you're making that kind of money. I can't get behind it, man. I just laugh at. I'm like, all right, cool, man.
Yeah. No, it's sick. It's sick. Out of all years too, to fucking mail it in, like they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. It's also a.
Do you know how many times in my life I agree with people just because I don't want to entertain the conversation?
Oh, 100%.
Minimum,
Bro.
like 9 times a day. I'm like, yeah, cool. But I'm for it.
Yeah.
What? All good, bro. I agree with you.
Yeah. No, you have to. You have to with these people.
What are we doing?
If not,
I can't get behind that, man. Listen,
You're stuck.
I'm doing very well for myself. And I'm making not more money than I ever thought I would make, because I always had like this level of delusion in a positive sense that I'm gonna do really well for myself. But what I make now in a day is what I would make in a week. What I make in 4 days is what I would make in a month back in the day. How can I sit there and complain? Do you know what my dad would do to me?
Bro,
He'd fly to Vegas, slap the shit out of me, and then hop on a plane and get back.
on your dime.
Yeah, he'd make me pay for it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, pick me up.
Yeah.
What? What the fuck?
When's your flight? Right now. Peace. I can't get behind that.
Flew a PJ.
I will never
This one was extra expensive.
I will never have sympathy for those kind of people with those conversations. I just can't do it, because I'm not out of touch with reality, and I see what the working man does and what the average person goes through. Everyone's stresses in life has to do with financial. So, yeah, I just can't get behind it. We're filming again later this week.
Yes, and it's going to be a good one. And it kind of like had a chance to fit into a spot today.
Yeah.
Players that are extremely valuable to their sport.
Yeah. Nice little teeing that up for later this week. We'll be recording on Riverside. The episode will be up Thursday morning. Thank you all for the support. We're going to have some guests on over the next couple of weeks. So continue to support. Thank you for supporting, whether it's Patreon, whether it's following us on social media, just across the board. This is really cool. Numbers are staying pretty consistent with what they are during the off season. And yeah, at Nick Dais Tenders, you can find me. All things Veterans Minimum. I have Veterans Minimum. George?
At Mr. George Carmona. And to tag on to the episodes and the guests that we're going to be having on next Monday, bro, it's going to be good. We're going to get the juicy details of a lot of athletes that we like.
Yeah.
And their private lives.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Yeah, bro. It's gonna be a blast.
Let's do it. Make sure you're following us. Rate, review, subscribe, share the content, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Element, I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course, be the venison.
Dab. Most dangerous game. Either kill or be killed.